But
yeah, I'm a little confused. In the text it says Frederick County stipulated that the parking lot must be improved to meet current standards. Must be. Now, if it must be, then it's not optional.
No, may I explain that?
Okay.
The must be in that context is we have to add parking blocks. You know what those are? The little plastic blocks or concrete blocks that you pull your front wheels up to.
Right.
And we have to add striping, and we have to add landscape islands. Those are the things that they have stipulated must be. The reason why I think we have to do this, for at least the part, the 26,000 to repave the parking lot, we would be putting all of those improvements on top of a foundation which is crumbling. And as Chris said, next year or at the latest year after, we'll be tearing all that up, repaving the parking lot anyway, and then putting it back down. It's bound to double the price of the whole thing. This is the right time to do it. Yes, Chris?
I think also, although we do need to have that meeting John is talking about, and we need to have it as soon as it's practical, although I'm not sure practical comes before the first week after July the 4th. However, what you're saying makes absolute sense until you factor in some other business judgment. And I think on balance, the business judgment says that we approve this tonight. And I do not believe you're any more concerned about these other issues than I am.
If we have to, in order to get it in line, we have to give approval to Mr. Shenandoah early in May, then I guess you're right. I guess you're right. Because I don't want to have to put this stuff down on top of a crumbly and then tear it up and spend $60K next year. Certainly. But if, in fact, on the other hand, we don't have to give that decision until the end of May or 1st of June, then I would want to defer it one more time. So if you tell me that the decision has to be made now, then I'll.
John, why do you want to defer this? I mean, this is something we need to do. If we want to open the clubhouse, we have to do this, right? Is this correct?
We don't have to do the paving, the tennis court. We don't have to overtop the East Road. So we could save $10,000.
I think we should consider that option. I'm only doing the first two line items here. The first one's absolutely mandatory. The second one, I think we would be foolish not to do at this time. We could avoid doing this the last two.
At least until we've had our budget review meeting.
But isn't this figure here for these other two because they're already going to be here working on the paving?
I'm not saying we won't tell them to do it, but we start them off with the first two. After we've had our meeting, we see where we stand, and if need be, we amend the contract and say, okay, go do the other things too. But we do so with a full knowledge of what we're committing to and where the other things in the budget have to fall out to accommodate.
Well, as long as their time schedules can accommodate us.
That's what I asked half an hour ago.
Everybody gets one chance when somebody else wants to talk. Chris, you had your arm up, I believe.
I don't think that's practical. I think if we're going to have them down there doing the work, the cost savings to us outweighs the deferral. And I don't think that you can go to them and say, we want you to do half of it, we'll decide if we want you to do the other half of it. They're going to be down there, they're going to be, with all the equipment, they're going to be totally operationalized. The cost of doing that tennis court parking lot for the kids and doing that side road by the play yard, it's going to have to be done anyway. It's not something that won't be done. I guess we could forget about the kids if we wanted to, but I'm not in favor of doing that. I think it's worth $5,000 to put a spot out there where the kids can play on those boards without being in the traffic. And I think that it's worth actually far more than $5,000. So I think there are a business judgment here, and there's also a moral judgment, in my mind anyway.
Oh,
I totally agree with this.
Chris.
Does the 3775 include parking blocks and striping, or is that additional?
That's part of the Shenandoah contract, which you'll find down below. $85,000 covers those things. That was part of the original Shenandoah contract. Susie.
I'm gonna go with John on this one. I think that we need to be careful when we come down to the wire. If something else happens, I just built a house that ran into the same types of problems. You get down to the end, if you don't leave a couple items out that we can axe, just to have that money somewhere else, what if something else happens down there that is another change thing that's gonna drive us way over budget?
John?
Again, when I started this, I asked for the schedule. I'm not suggesting that we have them come down there and then send them away and then have them come back at some other date. I thought the discussion was that we had to award the contract in May. I can't believe they're gonna be down there doing any work in May. We certainly don't, I don't think we even want them down there in May, do we, with everything else that's going on? When would they physically show up to do the work? And I think we've got plenty of time from the time that we tell them to go ahead with the first two items. We have our budget meeting, we figure out where we stand. That can all happen before they ever show up down there with the first piece of equipment. I'm not suggesting that we do it on a piecemeal basis, but I can't believe that work is going to begin down there before June at the earliest.
Can I have a vote?
We have a motion on the floor to approve the whole thing. Is there any further discussion?
To say that the kids would very much be thrilled. They did work hard, a year and a half ago, and I'm sure they're thinking, what's happening, if anything, so to go ahead and do this, and I do think it's an economical package that it would cost a lot more to do it any other time. Now's the time.
Further discussion? All right, the motion, do you have the motion?
Yes, the motion is to approve the $37,705 change order to do the paving.
All in favor of the motion? Okay, that's, hold the hands up until we get the names.
My hand is up.
Is that everything?
Okay.
Opposed? Susie and John opposed. Did everybody vote? Are there any abstentions?
Or abstentions.
Ray, you will inform Shenandoah that we approve the entire change order.
Will do.
And let's be sure that the paving part of that, tennis court paving part of that gets not put on the clubhouse budget, but on the youth activities budget, youth activities expenditure line.
Could we get a timeline from them when you turn them on as to when they're going to start work and when they're going to finish, please? As we should for every project that we initiate.
My son might.
Do we want them down there now with all the other stuff that's going on?
They're all the heavy construction, they're all masonry.
Also, that's not last week. Other things to build,
Okay.
You're way too long in chair, you're gonna get a.
Okay. Tab 6 is closed.